Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim. Is your audio working? Uh-oh.
I think he's still tweaking.
Okay.
But he's here.
He's here. It's just, he got the MechWarrior 5 demo, and for some reason, it forced his Oculus to go on, and now that's where his audio lives, because Windows audio is a real strange thing. And so he will probably be joining us shortly. Also joining us, as you heard, is your co-host, Hunter.
Hey, everybody.
And your co-host...
I did not get MechWarrior 5 like my son did.
And also joining us is your co-host, Spaz.
Hello.
So, folks, we have a topic show tonight. I don't know if we're going to have many more guests because, the holidays are coming up. People's schedules are crazy. And so it's kind of hard to get guests around this time of year. So we might just be doing topic shows for the rest of the year, which, it's fine. Love topic shows. I'm just throwing that out there. I guess the big news is that the Steam, is it the autumn sale or the winter sale? Which one is launched today?
Sale.
The Steam autumn sale has
winter sale is next month.
And then
it's an odd time to have a sale, then have another sale.
There's 3 sales coming up. There's this one, then there's 2 in December, right? There's the Christmas sale, and then there's the New Year's sale, right? Isn't there 2 more sales?
Yeah. There's and then after that,
Then there's the Chinese New Year sale and
Chinese New Year.
Yeah, and there's the spring sale. And, well, Steam does a great job in working to take our money from us. So, folks, if you're looking for recommendations as to what to buy in terms of space games, don't forget we have a Steam curator. It's got just about every space game on Steam on there, and it has a handy list of what's on sale, and you could through there find out what's recommended and what isn't. I guess also go ahead.
I was gonna say, do we not have something, a thing for the Epic Game Store for Rebel Galaxy? As a matter of fact, right?
Yeah. There's thank you for bringing that up earlier, Spaz. I didn't know it was on sale. There is a sale on Rebel Galaxy Outlaw going on at the moment too, and if you use the creator tag Space Game Junkie, one word, that throws us a little coin, which helps keeps the light on around here. So keep the lights on around here. So thank you for that. But yeah, if you go to the Steam Curator page, you'll pretty much find just about every Steam space game that's on sale listed there, and you can see whether it's good or not. A lot of them are good, but there is some crap that you should just avoid at any cost. So just be mindful. Like, I think a sale or two ago, I saw someone buy a space-based DF9. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, Lord. Well,
Why?
Steam took care of some of that today.
Well, that was apparently one publisher. That was apparently one publisher using a multitude of names to really try.
Well, there was that. They also did some housekeeping as well.
Yeah, as of today, they've. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like if there was a game that was like the HD version and then the standard version was still up there, they just ditched the standard version because why would anybody buy that?
Yeah, people started getting weirded out when they saw on Steam, I think it was SteamDB, that hey, 1,000 games just disappeared. Like, what? But apparently Steam was doing a little bit of house cleaning.
I saw Dark Souls go and I was like, wait, what?
What?
And then, when you look at it, yeah, it was like the old edition of Dark Souls, not the new remaster.
That kind of makes sense.
So then it was like,
I mean, that happens regularly. It's just not at that scale. It's usually a game here and a game there and blah, blah, blah. But this is like 1,000.
It's mainly to keep people from buying the old version when the new version is available, because then they would almost inevitably refund that and then get the new one. So it saves a step.
Yeah.
So what I found is that whenever people refund stuff, Steam apparently does not refund their cut. So it actually costs the publisher 30% of the sale, because Steam gets paid either.
Oh, geez.
This is what I heard. So it was like, refund and stuff is impactful.
Oh, geez.
Well, that's why they don't want people to use it like, this is a 2-hour demo, and I can play as much as I want for that 2 hours and refund it if I don't like it.
Yeah, they'll start warning you.
They do. If you do too many refunds within a certain amount of time, you do get a warning that they say, "Oh, you've refunded X, so many. You shouldn't be using this as a way to just demo games."
Yeah. Right.
Oh. Yeah, because there's especially with the onset of everything is in early access. It's like sometimes I'll grab it while it's in early access, and then it's like, yeah, I don't trust this. I'll come back and I'll refund it, and then I will go back and buy it whenever it's much further along, right? But it's like sometimes it's like, whoa, that's too rough to be.
Or sometimes, like, I refunded Dying Light when I first got it because it was the only game that ever made me motion sick. And then people were like, no, you have to fix it and play it. They were right. I bought it again.
Yes,
and they
were.
Yeah. Yes, you were. Oh man. But I'm glad their refund system exists, but yeah, I can see why they wouldn't want people to really game it too much.
It makes sense if you're refunded because of technical issues. There was one game that I'd bought, and I'm not going to name it, but it was one that I couldn't get past the title screen because you couldn't interact with any of the buttons. They were there, but nothing would happen. And I had to refund it because it was literally unplayable. And that's not the same thing as buying a game and saying, "Oh, I'm going to play this for 1 hour and 58 minutes," and then hit refund on it.
I'm sure there are people that try to do that too. But anyway,
there
folks.
are indeed.
But anyway, folks, the Steam sale's going on as we record this because it just started today, November 26th, 2019. And there's a lot to buy. So if you have a budget, definitely check out our curator page because we've worked very hard to make it easy for you to find the good games. And there are a lot of them. I think Children of a Dead Earth is like $250 right now, for example, which is insane for that game. So there's a lot. There are actually like some good deals. Like a lot of the Steam sales lately have been kind of. There's actually some good deals this time, at least on space games. So that's the big news. I think. I don't think there's anything else in terms of news. No. All right. So going into our topic, this is a strange one, folks, but bear with me as I explain why I came up with this topic. So lately on our Discord server, Star Trek Online is kind of blown up. A lot of people are playing it. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Spaz, you kind of came out of MMO retirement.
I did indeed.
To really dive in and be one of our point people and start, like, people are asking questions and you're writing these long, detailed answers about the game.
See,
and it's amazing.
What had happened was Spaz did a long squinty eyes into commercial break and said fire, and now it's been and it's been so many years because they canceled the show, and now they're bringing it back, and Spaz is, and we're seeing the part 2 of. Sorry, I had to build some lore there. For that. I don't know.
Oh no! I swear that was the first time I ever yelled at my television. Was that episode of Next Gen when Riker says fire, and just to be continued. And I was just like,
they didn't do 2-parters before that.
Not really. No, that was Next Gen's first 2-parter. I think that was also the first 2-parter.
That was like that was end of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was.
Wait.
Yeah, it was a season finale.
The first 2-parter was the first episode.
No, that was an extra length episode. That was an extra length. That was like a feature length episode.
That they later called part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, so if you go on Netflix, it is a part 1 and part 2.
Or whatever.
Yeah, if you go on Netflix or Amazon, it is part 1 and part 2. But when it originally broadcast, it was just a feature length, like, special event.
Yeah, they didn't split it up until they went into syndication.
Yeah, exactly. So no, best of both.
Some crystalline entity.
Best of both worlds was just. Yeah, oh my God. I still get chills thinking about that.
It's
Anyway.
a good two-parter.
And it was a good cliffhanger, I gotta say.
Such an amazing cliffhanger.
And they didn't do multi-part episodes until much later. Yeah, with DS9, they had their first 3-part arc episode
in season 2.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was nuts. And then you get that 6-part arc in season 6, which is just insane. And then the finale is what, 9 episodes? Like a 9-episode arc? 10
episodes.
That's like half the season. That's like half the season is just this long arc. Just amazing. Anyway.
Oh, Star Trek Online.
So, Star Trek Online is blown up on our Discord. A lot of people are playing it. And so I kind of got back into it too. And I'm staring at the icon one day. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I should play this. I mean, it's free. It doesn't cost me anything, you know. And I'm like, but if I play it, will these guys want me to play with them? I don't want to play with them. It's not that I don't like them. I'm an introvert. I just want to be by myself and solo. But if I play it, they might ask me if I want to play with them, and I don't want to deal with it.
I'm going to get you a T-shirt that says "Hell is other people."
It really is. It really is. There's a friend of mine put it a good way. There is, for an introvert like myself, there is a cost in dealing with other people, especially in situations that you're not super familiar with. There's a mental and emotional cost.
It's like a social tax. Do you
yeah,
the social tax?
It really is. It really is. So I'm staring at Star Trek Online going, I shouldn't play it because then they might ask me to play and then I'll have to tell them no and I'm going to feel weird and I don't want to tell them no. So I'm just not going to play it. I'm just not going to play it at all. And it made me realize, like, what is this introvertedness doing to my multiplayer gaming, for one thing? And two, like, how does any introvert get into multiplayer gaming? You know, it's easier dealing with people online than dealing with people in reality, but it's still like the same tax, basically.
Well, it is and it isn't, and
yeah.
And maybe this is a good launch point.
Go ahead.
So when it comes to the internet is kind of like, you know, nuclear power. It's good and bad, right?
Oh yes. Oh my God, yes.
No, I mean, but I mean, seriously, like, you know, nuclear power. It's clean energy. It's blah blah. You know, it's good. There is good use, but there's also very terrible and awful things that can be used. And the internet's the exact same way. And so for some people, as an introvert, it's a way to actually be social without actually ever truly being social. And it was especially so, I think, more in the early days of the internet when you had forums and IRC chat rooms, right? It was a lot easier to.
They were much smaller, like close knit communities, like BBSs and things like that. Where
right,
it was your group, yeah.
I was gonna say is that you could like leave a message and then you walk away from it.
Oh, okay, it's true.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can put your thought out there, you can ask your question or even answer a question, but then like once you've answered it, you can hang up the phone, so to speak, if you're on dial. You can walk away from it and go and do whatever it is else that you were doing. You don't have to like stay, quote unquote, like engaged in that. Now, I would say that that's definitely the case even today with like online games, because there's a multitude of online games. So you've got your competitive kind of things, you have your shooters, right? So like if you were looking at like a Call of Duty can be either completely social or completely not social, right? So in other words, like I can drop into a Call of Duty match like solo, turn off any other in-game like voice chat stuff, and it's just me against these other players that I don't have to talk to or listen to. And I can either be really good or I can really suck and get my ass handed to me. Or I can play with a group of friends that I know and be social in that regard. But I think that kind of then expands to a lot of other games too, because even in Star Trek Online, we have a lot of people that play. They play at different times, but we don't always play together unless we organize an event which is completely voluntary.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's just like, hey, we know you guys are playing. We're gonna do a group activity. If you guys want to join us, you can. If you don't want to, we get it. It's that kind. And we go on. Like the other day, I actually logged on and went to our fleet starbase, and Spaz was there. I didn't even know he was there. Like I just showed up, and his ship was sitting there, and I was like, oh, hey, it's Spaz. But like, I was doing my own thing. He was doing his own thing, so I didn't, bother to bother him. I just went on and kept doing my own thing because we were both doing our own thing. So it was just kind of like,
Right.
it's and it's not that I didn't want to play with him or vice versa. It was just like, hey, you run into somebody in this game, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to engage with that person.
And for my part, it's usually if I happen to be on, someone happens to be on, they ask me, hey, you want to help me with this? And my usual answer would be yes. It's just, I don't usually reach out to people and say, hey, let's do this together. It's more of if someone asks me if they want help with something, I'm usually among the first to jump in and say, okay, sure.
And you know what the weird thing is? I know you guys probably like on a rational level. I know you guys wouldn't just be like, "Hey, come join us." Blah, blah, blah. I know you wouldn't do that. But like on this like introvert level, it's like, "Oh god, I don't even want to deal with it. I don't even want to broach it. I don't even want to get near it." It's confusing and it's weird.
I think
here's a fun thing. Let me just toss this out there. With STO, there's a setting under your friends, finding a team. Your team settings is what it's called, and you can turn it off so that people can't even request for you to join the team.
What?
You actually, it's you have a team join mode, and then your options are open team, allow requests, or closed team. And if you set it to closed team, nobody can send you a request.
You know what? That's great.
You just turn that off.
I'm just gonna do that.
And that way, if you want to enable it at any point, you can enable it and then invite people in. Or
the other good news too with that is you can also minimize the chat, which I almost never use the chat unless maybe like I'm like pinging somebody that I know is online, or if for example, if like I'm streaming and like someone's like, hey, like whatever, like I can send them like a tell in game or something like that. I'll bring it up and do that. But the nice thing is a game like STO is really nice because while it is an MMO, they definitely have made it available for you to kind of like shut everybody else out.
Yeah. I played that. I play that in Lord of the Rings Online the same way. It's like they're big open world games that just happen to have other people in them that I might run into every so.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's the LFT settings, looking for team settings, and there's a little drop down there when you open that up, and it's looking for team mode, block team invites. You can completely do that, and no one will bother you. If you want to do it that way, you can totally do it.
Lance2185 on Twitch is the complete opposite of me. He's like, I'm turning that on.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's on. So it's on so that people can invite me, but it's not like I am openly looking for a team.
Right. But I feel
you're not standing at Earth Space Station at the Bazar yelling in local.
Right.
Friend me.
But I got to tell you guys, like this made me think about my whole relationship with multiplayer gaming and how it was basically you guys that kind of pulled me into it. Like, before Space Game Junkie, I hated multiplayer gaming. I hated it. Like, I wanted nothing to do with any of it, except Jumpgate, really. Like, I couldn't freaking stand it. And then we started playing X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, which is what we're streaming in the background. And that really was like a tipping point for me. Not only when you play with people you know, but you play something that's, for someone like me, as approachable as X-Wing or, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. So
yeah.
I really have to, again, thank you guys for like not dragging me into this new world basically, but
opening the door.
Opening the door. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
There's two camps of thought with that though, right? So you have your camp of thought that is, I'm an introvert and I want to play video games. And then there's like, well, I'm an introvert, but like, is there a way for me to be able to find joy in this other thing too? Even though, And part of that, then again lies in the fact that you hide behind the internet, right? Like you can still be, like I never actually have to. I'm not saying that I don't want to. It's just like I don't necessarily have to meet you or Spaz or Jim in real life in order to develop a rapport and enjoy playing games with you. Now, you guys are obviously on the West Coast and Jim and I are on the East Coast, so it made more sense where I was able to do like a meetup with Jim, and we've hung out a couple of times. Um, what a jerk. But anyway, it's just like it's. I'm just kidding. Jim raises chickens. He's an interesting character for anyone who wants to know that information.
Well, actually, I did raise chickens, and then I developed the hobby of feeding the neighborhood hawks.
Wait, what?
Feeding the neighborhood hawks?
Oh,
yeah, they ate my chickens, the bastards.
Oh, wait, the chickens are gone? We haven't talked about them in a while, but they're gone?
Yeah, that's why we haven't talked about it.
I was going to say, why haven't we talked about it?
No, that makes sense, but I didn't know. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Oh no.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm gonna.
Damn
I have a plan to fix that, but it's gonna require about $500 and a couple weeks of my time outside. And as everybody knows, homie doesn't go outside. So
are you gonna build like a Star Wars style missile shield for them?
No, but what I need to do, they have at Tractor Supply Company, they have like a wrought iron dog kennel thing, and it's not like a chain link fence or whatever. It's actually like an iron dog kennel deal, but the bars are small enough it'll keep the chickens in, right? But you can get it, it's modular, so I can make it like 6 feet wide, 10 feet long, and then they'll have a run to be in. But it's also got a roof on the top, which will keep the hawks from flying down in it.
So they can still go outside and get what they need without getting, fed to the birds of prey.
Yeah, it was like, there was a couple of times I had to go out there and shoot possums that were like inside the coop. The one time that I was actually the first time that I drove down and met Hunter, I was down in Charlotte. I come home from that and my chicken coop's on fire because I walk in the house. My mother-in-law's in here and she's like, yeah, I heard something kind of go boom in the backyard. I'm like, really? When? She's like, I don't know, like a half hour ago. I was like, did you look? No. Okay. So I go out there and the fucking chicken coop's like rolling smoke, right? And it's like, oh shit. So, and of course the chickens were all out of it. And then I opened the door, and what had happened is the heat lamp that was in there, because I got it on a timer, right? In the wintertime, it would come on. So like a possum or a raccoon or something got in there and knocked the heat lamp down, because it was like way up. Like chickens wouldn't be doing that, but something was trying to climb on it or something and like knocked it down. And when it landed, it, instead of the bulb breaking, it's a metal bell, right? Like a lampshade. And it landed flat and then just got hotter and hotter and hotter until it burned a hole right through the floor. It was like circle size, the same size as the light. But of course, it was like not open fire, but it was just all smoke from it. Like, because it had a fire like underneath it, but it kept it contained in the little metal bell, right? And it was about the size of a hubcap, right? If you ever seen one of those. Yeah. So had it not done that, it would have caught the coop on fire, which would have caught the shed on fire, which would have been my deck and then my house. So really wish that she'd look outside when she hears loud noises.
I don't look outside when I hear loud noises. I just sit there hoping they're.
Well, you live in LA.
Away.
You should like hide behind the couch when you hear loud noises.
We jump in the bathtub. we jump in the bathtub. Either that or we get in the door frame. One of the two.
Yeah.
No,
I was like, those are the loud noises you guys do. Speaking of earthquakes, the oddest thing happens is that every now and then, so I used to live in Ohio, and Ohio magically sits on a fault line itself. A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah, it's not your fault though.
Yeah.
Shut up.
God.
But so anyway, it sits on a fault line, and like once in a blue moon, if you're paying attention enough, you can actually like feel an earthquake or hear it. And I remember one time I was down in my parents' basement. I hear the loudest boom of my life. It scares the crap out of me. And I go running upstairs and outside, and I'm like, "What was that?" And like no one could figure it out because my dad thought maybe it was thunder. I was like, "Dad, there's like not a cloud in the sky. It's sunny out." And you check online. Sure enough, it was just like it was just a quick little jolt. Earth's moving.
This is why we don't have basements out here.
Yeah, exactly.
No basements. You will not. It's very rare. But
anyway,
you'll know there's an earthquake. You'll know there's an earthquake out here when half your Facebook friends around the same time going, "Quake, earthquake! Oh my god, did you feel that? Oh my god!" Yeah, it's pretty funny. But I wanted to ask you guys something because you guys do multiplayer gaming a lot more than I do. And so this might be a weird question, but I'm curious. Is when you play a multiplayer game versus a single player game, is it like the same part of your brain, like the same amount, the same energy to play a single player game than it is to play a multiplayer game, or is there a difference?
I think on the nature of the game, it's very different.
Well,
okay.
I was about to say there's a yes and no to that answer. So
okay.
If it's something here, actually, Jim, here's a good example: Red Dead Redemption Online.
Yeah.
So, like, the single player is very narrative driven, and you're solely focused on that narrative driven mindset. You're not really thinking about anything else or anyone else because there's no one else in there to think about. However, Red Dead Redemption Online is very similar to the single player in that, like, you can go out and you can go hunting, fishing, there's missions that you can go and do. Yet, however, you can team up with a friend. And occasionally you can team up with other people. And sometimes when it forces you to team up with other people is when you're kind of like, you have to put in that mode of like, do I want to deal with a rando who could screw up this mission? Or do I just want to say, screw it, I'll do it some other time? So there's like an extra layer of thought that has to go into. The interesting thing about Red Dead, though, and I think this is also because of the way games are developed, but specifically with the way they developed Red Dead, is they did it differently than they did Grand Theft Auto Online. Right? Where, like, in Grand Theft Auto Online, you could open up the map and look at anywhere on the map and just see where a player is. You're constantly hyper aware of what everyone's doing and where everyone is on the map, right? In Red Dead, you're only familiar when people are close enough to you. Like, if you're in a city or if you're in a town and there's other players in the town, you can see them on your map. But, like, you go out into the wilderness, and if there's no one close to you, you ain't gonna see where anyone is. You don't even know how many people are around. Like, you don't, it's, and that's a design choice by the game, which allows you to feel like you can have that private experience while also at the same time simultaneously there's other people around. You just don't know that they're there. Which I find fascinating because that's an experience I've not had before.
Oh,
because I guess the same thing, because that's the same kind of thing that you could say about like MMOs, right? So like if I'm playing, let's just use a common one like World of Warcraft for example. I'm not going to know about another player unless they're close enough to me. I can't just open up the world map and be like, hey, look at all these people over the. They're not going to show up until they're close enough to me, which is kind of how Red Dead does it. And I really appreciate that mindset because GTA Online is an abysmal place because it, if a player, well, no, but like seriously, like if you have someone in there who just loves enjoying and going and messing with other people,
they can always find you.
They can always find you.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, cause with me, well, one, that's weird that you can always see where everyone else is. Why do they do that? Is there a good reason for that? I mean, that doesn't sound.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. Like imagine EVE Online if you could see where every other player was. How ridiculously bullcrap would that be?
Well, the funny thing about that though is you can't see where other players necessarily. But the thing with EVE that is interesting is when you pull up the map, there's actually statistics charts that you can pull up that says how much gate activity has this system seen lately.
Interesting.
It doesn't tell you. It doesn't necessarily tell you like who's in there, right? But you can see within the last 30 minutes how many like players are in this have been in this system. So it'd be like there have been 5 people in this system. So if you're trying to figure out and plot like a route, you can kind of see where all the activity is based on gate activity or like how many ships have been blown up within the last 24 hours. But it doesn't tell you who, if they're friendly, if they're enemies, or if they're it just says that yes, there's been this amount of activity. It just doesn't tell you who.
Well, I ask you guys that question because for me, it's like I can play a single player game anytime, but when it comes to multiplayer gaming, like I can't just jump into a multiplayer game. I have to like, as with any social situation, for me at least, I have to have some kind of time to mentally prepare for it.
Well, you have to psych yourself up for it.
Yes.
Because
like,
if you don't, then it's going to be more draining.
Oh God, yes, so much so.
Well,
oh my God, so much so.
Let me ask you this about that though. I honestly feel it depends on the game though, and what kind of activity you're looking for.
Okay.
Because like, you used to play. Let's talk about Jumpgate. So like Jumpgate back in the day when there was a lot of people, right?
Yes.
Did you still have this anxiety then about Jumpgate?
I will tell you what, Jumpgate is a weird case. Because with Jumpgate, you're all on the same server, and you all have... Jumpgate was basically like, I'm playing Elite that happens to have a chat room in it. That was basically what Jumpgate was. Basically, I'm flying around, I'm doing missions, I'm hauling cargo, and we're all just chatting. That's basically all that was. So it was a different vibe than maybe some other games. I don't know, it was weird. Like, I was playing mostly by myself, hauling cargo and mining, but there were
here's a thought behind this though, and I'm gonna throw a wrench in.
Please, more wrenches the better.
So you're currently in charge of a community, and you might not like really think of it that way, but with Space Game Junkie, you've got yourself a website, you've got yourself a YouTube channel, you've got Discord, you've got Twitch, You've got all of these things, right? So you've started to build a following and based upon your gameplay, right? And so I think as time has gone on for you specifically, the idea of playing games for other people and then wanting to play games for yourself have also become to the point where it's just like, if I'm playing this game by myself, do I really want to have the option or the potential for these other people to join me? Not that you don't like them or don't think that they're great people. It's just you also want to be able to switch off and just do you.
Yeah, that is very, very true. I mean, you really, at least for me, I really have to have that separation a lot of the time between what I play for Space Game Junkie and what I play for myself. And
the kind of games that I like in multiplayer, right, is either cooperative things where it's like whenever Hunter and I play Red Dead, we don't generally fool with other people. We made our own group, and then we'll go to do a mission. Well, you could have 4 people, there's only 2 of us. Okay, well, it'll just be the 2 of us. We don't open it to public matchmaking or whatever, right? And then just do whatever, right? So it's we're kind of playing the single player game but together. But it's very different than the actual single player game because there's a whole lot more in the single player. But you get what's the narrative stuff still.
What's really cool about the way Rockstar did Red Dead Online, and I've got to really praise them for this. For example, and GTA Online was like this too when you think about it. If we're in a group together, let's say Jim wants to go to like the weapons shop and like upgrade some of his stuff, or like maybe buy some. If I'm not in the interest, if I want to still go out and go continue to hunt pelts or do whatever, I can do that while he goes back to a town somewhere and does his own thing. So it's not like you're constantly bound to the hip by the other player that you're with, which is what's nice
is a good
about
thing. It takes the pressure off of you because
that's nice.
It's not like everybody's waiting on me. So
yeah, that's really nice.
Does the Far Cry 5 does the opposite, where if you get too far apart, you'll get pulled.
And I hate when games do that. I really
understand
do
why they do it. I do, but I can see it both ways. I can sort of understand, well, okay, they don't want to get you too far apart for, desyncing issues. All of that can happen if you're too far apart. But I can sort of understand where you and Jim are also coming from. The idea that, well, if you want to split up and do something a little bit different, then you can do that.
And that's really nice that they let you do that. That does, like, as you said, take the pressure off. Because
I like games. I like games that are either co-op or you're in the world, you're doing your own thing. There's other people and they're doing their thing, right? It's like I could be building a fort or whatever, or like out taming dinosaurs in Ark, whatever it is I'm doing. But I don't have hostile interactions with people. But it could just be somebody wanders by. Hey, how you doing? You want some help with that? Whatever. Or it might be like, I've got stuff that I don't need, and I see somebody else over there, and it's like, here, take this stuff. I'm sick of carrying it around, but you could use it. It's things that are not co-op where you're attached to each other. Okay, we're in a party and we have to travel the dungeon together. But it's just like, I'm in here, I'm doing my own thing, I'm doing it at my own pace. But if I choose to have a social moment with somebody, I can. And to me, that's the best of things, right?
What's a good game like that? What is a game that allows that kind of?
Ark is pretty good for that. If you play on a server that's PvE, if you get on a PvP server, it's toxic as all shit. But,
I can imagine.
But
you can set the servers can be set.
It's the Rust syndrome.
But the servers can be set to PvE only.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's good. I didn't know that was a thing that players had to stick to. I probably do. I think I do.
Well, do you have the Microsoft Game Pass? Because then you own Ark. But the thing is, though, I could stand up an Ark server and we could jump on it and just dick around and have a good time. And the thing is, it's not if the server's up. Another one that's really like the game that is the king of this shit is Minecraft. Because I can join a Minecraft server, I can go off on my own, do my own thing. I'll never see another person, or I can walk, across the map and find somebody and just be like, "Hey, man, you want to go like do some shit, like go hunt,
you want to go
stuff.
Kill the dragon?"
Yeah. So honestly, Minecraft is absolutely the king of the casual, like co-op when you want it kind of.
I wonder if that's one reason it's popular with kids.
I think so, yeah, because it's parents are cool with it because it's like, hey, the kids are in there, they're playing together, and
it can be creative.
It's not a bloodbath, right?
Right.
I mean, it can be if you suck,
right.
but it teaches cooperation. It's like, hey, man, I dropped my stuff. And it's in a room full of skeletons and I don't have my stuff. So I got to go find somebody that's got stuff that can go kill that shit so I can run in and snatch my stuff. Otherwise you have the option of just like rebuilding it or whatever. But, it's that kind of thing. It encourages cooperative stuff. And there are multiplayer PvP Minecraft things out there. I don't know why, but for people that enjoy that kind of thing,
there are people who love that stuff. That love,
and
that kind of thing.
Well, it's fun when you want it, but I don't want it coming for me when I don't want it. Right?
Well, yeah, that's why when I play games that are multiplayer, I tend to stick to PvE servers if they are available, and I don't like PvP that is enforced, where you cannot opt out. So games that are PvE enforced. Well, yeah. I mean, games like that are just not my thing. I don't even pick them up. I don't play them. I don't install them because that isn't for me anyway. That isn't fun for me because if I happen to not be on, I can come back and have nothing left.
Yep.
And yeah, so I mean, with SGO, and I played it for years before I took years off from MMOs altogether. I don't have to join other players if I don't want to. I can play entirely solo. I can join pickup groups if I want to get task force operation stuff done. And most of the time, it's okay. It's not like I get griefed because it's PvE. If one person's going to try to grief, then everybody loses. It doesn't help. So that doesn't really happen. PvP, you can opt into it, but nobody plays PvP. So it's not even an issue. Nothing significant there.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, is that PvP just doesn't it lead to more toxicity in general in multiplayer gaming?
No.
Not necessarily. It depends on how the game is done.
Mm.
You know, one thing that made it bad, right, is when the original Call of Duty 4 was out, right? Modern Warfare, back in, what was that, 2008, 2009? When that was, then we had dedicated servers. Somebody ran a server, so you would get a community of people. They would play together all the time. You might have 60, 100 people that cycle in and out, but these are people that you see every night when you come in and play, you know. And now they've changed stuff where it's just like random lobby, right? It's just like, oh, I'm going to drop in and I'm going to just get stuck in with 20 other people who I don't ever, I have no knowledge of them, whatever. So now there's no incentive to like act civil, right? To not be a dickbag. Because it's just like these are people that I don't know and I won't see again or whatever, right? So you get a different behavior out of the less mature people, right? Because otherwise, like in a dedicated server, if you come in and you're a dick, you're gonna get banned, right? So it's like, hey, come in, be friendly, right, and have fun. Which honestly, the Arma community that I'm in, that's why, is because I play that game with the same people every week. And, you know, so it's like we all know what the other people are going to be doing. We've got a job, and, you know, it's just like, okay, you get into that routine of like, okay, I'm the guy with the machine gun. I know Doyle's my loader, and you know, like the other guy is the squad leader, so we stick to him. And it's, you know, it's kind of like the real military was, right? The way that things are organized, you know, where you have a platoon and then that's broken into squads, and the guys in the squad are always together, so you better learn to like each other. But it's cool. So then you actually end up developing friendships, right? And sometimes those friendships transcend the game. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to go play another game, and then some of your friends from that other game will tag along, right? And then you kind of get your own private community. And, you know, it's like you meet their friends, they meet your friends, whatever. And that's how that stuff happens. But like before this whole like community building thing, you know, where they would surround a community around a particular game, there's like clans that are out there that are multi-game, like Insomniacs that I used to be with back in the day. And some of those people, they're in that, what is that Medic's in, Hunter? You're a member of it, Fever Clan.
Yeah.
And when you go in there, dude, they got as many channels as we got. You know, it's like their Discord is like a shit ton of games. And it's just like, oh, I see 3 people down in the Diablo room. Okay, I can drop in there and play Diablo if I feel like it. And I know I got people or whatever, right? So it's just kind of like, you just kind of go in and scan like, oh, there's people playing Destiny. Oh, there's a lot of people playing Destiny. Looks like something's going on. Let's go check it out. And, you know, but it's people that if they play that game, they probably play it frequently, and then you'll kind of fall in with them and get to know them and, you know, make friends, right? So kind of like around here, like the people that are active in the chat, you know, we all kind of get to know each other. And yeah, I wish we played games together more around here, honestly.
Yeah, and that's I think a thing too with like a community. You have Space Game Junkie is interesting because we have a niche for space games. Like we all like space games, but we also like a variety of other. But the funny thing is too is I think we've also curated a community of introverts, which is I think quite interesting. And that's not a bad thing because I can certainly be an introvert myself, right? Like there's definitely days where I too just was like I don't want to play with anybody. I don't have the patience for this. I want to do my own thing. But I mean, there's definitely been days where I'm like, hey, let's get a group of people over here and go run a couple of things in Star Trek Online, or hey, I'm going to be playing this game. Feel free to join me in Holosuite 1.
Yeah, but that's why I love games that it's like I can solo it or bring a friend. Those games that are the option like that, beautiful. Right?
I wanted to get into that. I wanted to talk about, because those are the kind of games that got me into multiplayer gaming, were the games that you could play solo and then transition to multiplayer.
Yeah.
So I started putting a list together of
Is
introvert.
Arma 3 at the top of the list?
It is not.
The sale's going on right now.
It is not.
Right now.
I will add it to the list.
Because if you buy that, then I can take you in to 7th Cav, right? And you can meet like 100 other people that play that game that are all super chill. Right?
You say that to me, and
it's like, terrifying. Hey, I want to learn. No, because it's just like it's
so
people
scary.
in there playing, doing their thing.
It's so scary.
But not at all, because it's the deal of like, hey guys, what's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, grab a rifle, get in the Jeep, we're gonna go kill some shit. Okay, and you're just along for the ride. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna follow these guys, do what they're doing, just hang out, right? Don't have to talk a lot. Just kind of pay attention to what's going on. If you have questions like, oh yeah, I don't know how this works in the game, they'll immediately educate you, right? It's probably one of the most friendly communities that I've ever been in that's focused around a single game. And they branch into other stuff too, like they play DCS and any kind of milsim stuff, but the main focus is Arma. And yeah, and it's a thing. They keep the population up because you have to show up, right? It's like you have a commitment. You will be there that night of the week. If not, you have to show up a different night of the week. And failure to show up without telling people will kind of get you pulled aside, right? It's there just not to make it like a job, but it's there to say, hey, look, we have a player base. And if everybody just decides to show up when they want to, then people are going to show up and then there's nobody here to play with. So let's make it so that certain nights of the week, you guys show up, and that's whoever's going to show up. Like mine is Sunday nights, right? So if you show up Sunday night at this time, then you're in that squad. And so you always see each other every Sunday night at 9 is when I play. And then like once a month, there will be a community thing. It'll be like, okay, Saturday at 5 o'clock, we're going to do a thing, and it's going to run for like 8 hours. And everybody that can make it. So when you show up to that, you meet up with the guys that you play with every week. And then you drop in with other people in their groups that they play with on different nights. And you all get together and do something together. And it's pretty organized, right? It's not like a clusterfuck thing. It's, you'll have like leadership that will get on the radio and say, okay, this is the mission, right? And then it's up to the individual squads to figure out how they want to do it. And it's really cool.
Well, I've definitely added that to the list. The first one on my list was, of course, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, because if it wasn't for that game, I don't think I'd be playing multiplayer games with you guys today, to be honest with you. But that game was just... I still think it's ahead of its time, in terms of being able to play both offline and online. So, this guy on Twitch is talking about how he had to learn to lead the target with lag when playing X-Wing versus TIE Fighter originally.
Yes.
Oh man.
And
yeah.
And do you remember Mech Warrior 2 NetMech?
I never played NetMech. I never played
Okay, NetMech.
I know of it.
You had to
course,
aim
but...
2 inches in front of somebody.
Oh no!
If you saw your shots hitting, you weren't hitting. So it was a thing. You had to lag lead and whiff in front of the guy by about 2 inches, and then you just see parts fly off of him.
Lag lead. I can't believe that's
Yep.
oh my god, that's crazy. I've never heard that phrase before, but now it makes a boatload of sense. Oh,
Too much,
man.
I think.
Too much. Yeah, this one Inferno Ox is saying Mech Warrior 2 with lag was also bad trying to hit their back plates. I believe it. But I thought of some other. Go ahead. Sorry.
You know, speaking of multiplayer and making friends and stuff, 2 of my friends met each other and got married by playing NetMech.
What?
It was like
That's
he was
amazing.
from Mexico City and she was from Ohio, and she flew down to Mexico to meet him. They got married, and it's not still, but it lasted a good 15 years or whatever.
Oh.
Shit happens, but
Yeah.
It was like,
adorable,
yep,
though.
met each other playing Mech Warrior.
That's adorable. A couple others I thought of were I thought Deep Rock Galactic would be a really good introvert friendly multiplayer game because you can play solo so effectively and get good,
and it's also
get good
it's
at
easy to just it's also easy to just hit that random match button and get dropped in with like 3 other people that are
really?
playing, and just you just fit in. It's like, oh hey, cool, you're a gunner. All right, let's go. And
Is it a friendly
just don't
community?
think too hard. It has always been that I've done it. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. I mean,
I've not done it, but that's exactly what I've heard from other people as well.
I mean, you have to work together so completely in that game that I can't imagine there'd be. I mean, if someone's a dick, you're just going to ruin the whole mission for everyone anyway.
Right. And if anybody like gets upset because like you're not doing as well as they want you to or whatever, they're probably just going to quit out themselves, right?
Yeah.
Rather than try to chase you away. So
that's true. Another one I came up with because we've been having so much fun with it lately was Dying Light, because that game is amazing in single player, and then the co-op is just so easy to do, and you just jump.
You can
into
do that
someone's
with
game.
up to 4.
Yeah, and you just jump into someone's game, and you're doing the same stuff. I think that's a commonality with a lot of these games. It's the same stuff between single and multiplayer, which I really appreciate when a game does that. Like, I wish more space games did that. Like, how great would it be if you can play the Free Space 2 campaign in multiplayer? I mean, there's kind of a mod to let you do it, but I don't trust it.
Yeah.
But with
you played like a lot of Skyrim, right?
Yes.
Okay. So imagine Skyrim, but it's like, hey, I got this quest and I got to go like explore this cave that's way up here and I've never been there, and because the game is about exploration, right? It's like places I've never been. Oh, I never saw that before. And instead of just like telling somebody about it, you could just be like, hey, jump in here. Let's go. Right? We'll go hiking and like find out what's going to kill us in this cave. Or you could just play the thing single player, whatever. That's honestly, that's my favorite type of multiplayer game, is stuff that it's a solid single player thing.
Yes.
But you can bring a friend along.
Yes. That's why I was also going to mention Borderlands 2, which is another good experience, very similar experience. You can play it solo if you want, but it's even more fun when you bring in people. And yep. I kind of wish Elder Scrolls Online was more like Skyrim, but
I absolutely do. Every time I load it up,
I can't truck with the combat. I just can't get on board with the combat on that one.
It's too much traditional MMO.
Yeah, but they don't want it to be. They want it to be like Skyrim, but with a traditional MMO.
Yeah,
it's like, what? Oh damn it! Looks like we're having a restream relay problem. Okay. Anyway, so I think Spaz, did you add Gene Shift to the list?
I did.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That single player is is very fun, and you don't even have to play the battle royale side if you've bought the game. You can play the campaign in co-op, and that's fun. That's lots of fun. We've always had fun doing that.
But it also has amazing bots. Like amazing
does.
bots. Like astounding bots. And that was another reason I added Unreal Tournament to the list. Like I was not a fan of multiplayer gaming for the longest time, but Unreal Tournament I got into because the bots were so good. I felt confident enough playing with randos online after I played with the bots for so long. You know?
Speaking of bots, I didn't put it on the list only because we haven't streamed it yet, but Generation Zero. Because you can play that entirely
bots.
solo if you want to.
Actual
bots, yes. But the multiplayer, which I have played on the PS4 version, is very fun. It is much more fun with other people than on your own. Although you can certainly play it solo.
I hope it's good with other people, because single player I found it just like deathly boring. Like, I don't know. And look, I'm the guy that plays Arma, right? Which is all about a walk in the woods, occasionally screwed up by enemy soldiers, right? But you spend like 99% of your time just walking. And that game seemed to be kind of the same deal, but I don't know. It just didn't.
They have made many improvements. In fact, the DLC they just released, paid DLC, adds an expansion on a separate island that also has other survivors.
With Generation Zero? It's got a paid expansion?
Yes. It just released.
Well, I guess I have to buy that, huh?
But it's I would consider it to be late game content sort of thing. You wouldn't want to jump right into it because there are some new insane bots that have been added to it. But part of that DLC is you actually do find other people, which is something that you don't have in the main game. Because, well, you're basically alone. There are no survivors.
Is this like this NPC other people, or do you?
These are NPC other people. Yeah, okay. Other humans that have actually survived, and you can do quests with them. And there's some other stuff which I don't want to get into, but they've added some fun stuff with that. So when we do stream it, it should be fun.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna stream it. We are definitely gonna stream it. Because I ran into one of the big bots. I'm like, oh, I need help. I can't take that on with my little pistol and my unmodified shotgun. No.
For the record, I did spend some time farming some weapons and ammo for you. So when we do hook up in game, I can get that stuff to you.
Thank you. So, and I just added Arma 3 to the list because that has single player game. That's a single player content, right? That I could also jump into multiplayer similarly, right? If I wanted to. Right? Jim.
Yeah. What?
Arma 3 has.
I was reading stuff. Arma 3 has multiple single player campaigns. There's like a whole single player game there.
Oh, and they also just added the first contact shit too.
Yeah, which it's cool. First Contact's kind of a one and done thing though. But again, it's kind of subject to Arma-ness, right? Because it's the single player stuff can sometimes feel a lot more gamey than the multiplayer stuff, because multiplayer you're dealing with other people, so you don't have to like, oh, I have to walk over here and trigger the script that'll make that guy do the, it's just like, no, hey dude, take care of that, right? Because it's another person. So the scripty stuff in Arma single player, but we're used to video games, right? So it's not super broke. But the difficulty of some of the stuff is it ranges from pretty easy to really berserk. Like if they make a mission and it's got like the enemies are turned up a little bit hard and you happen to be on an island that's got like jungle stuff like Tanoa, they could shoot through bushes. Like they're like the freaking Terminator. And that can get a little frustrating, but it just depends on what you play. Plus, the biggest strength of Arma is the workshop support, because there is a gajillion mods in there that changes everything that you want, right? Like, oh, I wish this was in the game. It's there. You know, it's like, oh, hey, what about that obscure Brazilian tank from the, yep, there's a mod. Somebody made it. I guarantee you. And then there's missions, right, that are dynamic missions. So it's like, hey, I want to play single player, but I just want it to just make missions, right? And it will. There's stuff where it's like conquest on a map, and you're almost playing an RTS because you can buy soldiers and they'll follow you, and you can buy a tank and drive it and whatever, you know. And it's like, okay, we take over the towns, and that's how much income we get to buy more stuff, and the AI is fighting us. And yeah, and the thing is, though, that you could co-op that, right? You're playing it, somebody wants to join you, they just drop right in and they're playing the same map as you. It just works. So that's, yeah,
it's a thought.
it's just the Arma jank every now and then gets to me.
Well, those games have been jank since Operation Flashpoint. I mean, those guys are great, but oh, the jank. Oh my gosh. So this is something I am going to try and get better at, this introvertedness thing. I also have to admit it's been kind of, the introvertedness thing on my end has been made kind of worse because of my new situation here. I've been home so much that like I've kind of forgotten how to interact with people, you know? Like I went to a birthday party the other day, and after like an hour I had to walk away. Like I had to push myself away from the party and just sit by myself for like.
Well, the nice thing about online interaction is that you are in control of the experience. So it's just like, oh, hey guys, gotta go, and you can log out, right? Especially with games that are good drop in, drop out. You know, it's just like, yeah, just disconnect, whatever, and you know, somebody else will fill in.
I think I put too much pressure on myself about that. Like, oh, I feel bad, I shouldn't leave, or something. It's not rational. I know this.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, I think it's kind of like any other like thing, though. Like you find what your comfort level is, and then you give that to yourself and be like, okay, my comfort level. You know, I can do a podcast for an hour with these guys and chat with them about, you know, what. Okay, so if I can do that, and even if that gives me a little bit of anxiety, maybe I don't have to get on voice chat with somebody, but like if I'm in a game and, you know, someone I know says, hey, what's up? You know, I can be like, hey, not much, just kind of doing my own thing, what you up to? And then you can kind of like leave it at that, and then like if the conversation continues to go on longer than you're interested in, be like, hey, look, I got stuff I got to get done. I'm going to go, you know?
I just have a hard time saying that to people. I'm going to be honest. I'm like, everything's great. I can't, I feel bad, you know, but I shouldn't. You're absolutely right. I shouldn't feel bad if I just say, look, I got to just do my own thing. You know what I mean? I shouldn't feel bad about it.
It's not like you're blowing off the conversation. It's more like you're not up to being social, and you don't necessarily want to not play a game. It's right. You want to play a game and not be forced to be social.
I don't know if a lot of other people get that, though. Like, I worry that a lot of other people don't understand that for someone like me, I can't just be social. Like, there's a person that lives in our apartment complex here, and she's a nice woman, but every time I walk past her, well, one, she's a smoker, which bothers me to all hell and back. But two, she always wants to have like a 10-minute conversation about birds or something, or the accident that happened at the light the other day or whatever. And I'm like, why don't you understand? I don't want a 10-minute conversation. I just want to walk by and go, hey, and then just keep going. Can I just do that? But I don't have the heart to say that. You know? So I freaking talk to her. It's exhausting. And so I think part of my thing is I think everyone's like that. So I worry that no one's going to get it. But I'm wrong, right? I'm totally wrong about that, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Hey,
yeah, we get it.
You're on the internet though, see, so like 90% of people that are into the same stuff as we are a lot like you. So
yeah, you're probably right.
It's just like I'm cool in small groups, right? Like 2-3 people tops. I'm great. You get more than that, and I just kind of want to find a way out of it.
Oh God, right?
So yeah, but it's just the thing of like, if I'm in a small group, that's great. If it's more people than can sit around the dinner table, I don't want to be there. So
Jim, I noticed that no matter where we go, when you walk into a room, you immediately mark all the exits. Is everything okay?
I kind of do.
It's
and don't sit with your back to the door, because I watched a lot of mob movies.
He's a Treadstone agent. That's what I was thinking. He was totally manipulated by the Treadstone program to hunt down people like Jason Bourne.
Look. If they get you, they'll put a chip in your brain. All right. That's how they got me, man. That's how they got me.
Shh. Don't say it. Don't say it out loud. We're live.
They got me and they replaced my brain with a bag of sand. Did you ever see Bubba Hotep?
Yes, I love that movie. That movie's great.
JFK.
Speaking of great movies, do we all have Disney Plus? By the way, are we all on that? Are we all on that train? I'm gonna wrap up with this. If you don't have Disney Plus, you should get it for two things. If you're into space games, and then we're gonna wrap it up with this. First, you should get it for The Mandalorian, which is great.
Sorry to all of our European friends.
Oh yeah, when do they get it? They get it early next year? Or is it
March?
Don't fool yourself. They've already got it.
Well, yes.
So
this is also true.
So
they don't officially get it until like next year.
Right, but The Mandalorian is great. But the other reason to get Disney Plus is to get some alcohol if you drink, or some chocolate if you don't, and get a little blitzed out to the black hole. You know, just drink a little and get a little buzz going. However you get a little buzz going, and watch one of the worst Disney movies that they've ever made, and just enjoy the spectacle of what was once on the cutting room floor. They're like, oh wow, Star Wars is a thing. We need to make a sci-fi movie. Well, we've been
it's got Ernest of Borg.
Yeah, it does have Ernest Borgnine. That's true. It's got that actor. What's the actor's name who just died recently? He was in Jackie Brown. What was his name? Oh, he was in it too. I can't remember his name.
Oh shit! Did he die?
He died. Yeah, the older guy from Jackie Brown. Yeah, he passed away a few weeks ago. Yeah, he was great. He was one of the legendary that guys. You know, you see him in a movie and you're like, that guy.
Well, I just saw him in the new Tarantino movie, the Once Upon a Time in L.A.
Oh,
in Hollywood. Yeah, he was in that.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So
it's a movie. It's a movie where not a lot happens.
Huh.
I don't know. There's a fight scene towards the end that make you go, huh?
Well, yeah. So the whole movie is like slow burn up to the last 5 minutes, and then it just goes full Tarantino.
All I'm gonna say is, if you guys don't have like a good stomach, don't watch that fight scene. It gets pretty.
Dude, it was so violent that I was just kind of laughing at it because it was just like, I can't even believe that he did that. You know, it's just
wow. So, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. Just a few quick programming notes. Tomorrow, we're going to be streaming Hitman at 9 a.m. And then that's our last stream of the week because it's Thanksgiving this week. So there's not going to be any streams on Thursday or Friday. We'll be back next week on Monday with some more Deep Space Nine, the What the Helen, because that game is just what the... Oh my God. It's Deep Space Nine The Fallen, which is one of the most player hostile games I've played in a long time. It really hates the player.
It was a weird product of its time.
Oh, it so is.
I like the game, but it is a weird product of its time.
I'm not disliking it. I'm liking being in that world, and it has a lot going for it. But you see some of the ways they made the levels and some of the puzzles, and you're like, what's happening here?
Yeah. Are there mods for it?
No.
That maybe clean it up?
There
are cheat codes, though.
There are cheats.
He's been using them.
I started using them last week because there were a couple points in the game where you're like, no, I'm not. They wanted me to crawl through a hole, like a tube that had a pulse going through it every like 20 seconds. And if you didn't crawl through it in just the right time, you dead. You're just done. You're just killed. Just done. And so that was awful. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to cheat. But it works with N-Glide. The Glide emulator, so it runs full screen 1440p, and it's a little stretched, so everyone has really wide hips, like, but it looks great, surprisingly. And next week on the podcast, where I dipped into one of the topics we came up with on our roundtable several episodes ago. We are going to talk about mobile space games. Because some of our favorite developers, like the guy who made Evercron and whatnot, he's moving into the mobile space. So
you guys all have phones, don't you?
Yeah. God.
Hey, Content was mobile.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Vendetta Online and all these other games, all these other space games. There are quite a few mobile space games, and some of them are actually good. So we're going to talk about that next week. So thank you, as always, for spending time with us today. Really appreciate it, as always. Thank you especially to our Patreon patrons who help literally keep the lights on around here. You help pay for the lights for the green screen and the green screen that I use every day. If you want to learn how to become a patron or any other way to support Space Game Junkie financially, you can go to spacegamejunkie.com/support, where you can find links to PayPal and Patreon and our merch store on Teespring and affiliate links like the one we mentioned earlier for the Epic Games Store. All these ways to chip in a little bit and help us become the full-time entity we know we can be. So yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. And for our American friends, have a very happy and wonderful Thanksgiving, and we hope you all have a lot to be thankful for. Have a great night, y'all. Bye-bye.